If I was to do a show that would talk about heritage and would talk about, let's say, the issues of what's going on in Milwaukee and every place else, this is the way I would do it. It represents the two sides of my heritage. Valentina, you gave me this picture.
It's my father and my mother. This was when we were living already in Wisconsin.
Where do they come from?
My father is originally from Corpus Christi, Texas. He was born there. He's an American citizen. My mom was born in Mexico, Torreon, and she came when she was a young girl with my grandfather.
This was my grandpa and grandma Svian. They came from Minnesota for the same reason, for jobs.
Now you raised 10 children.
Yes, I did.
You made quite a few
Yes, I did.
tortillas.
I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, and make my dough because my husband liked his fresh.
Well, I'm fortunate that I have enough relatives that have learned how to do this. I haven't ever done it myself, and I stand here watch.
There's no time like the present.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking
I was
about.
just going to say, you've never made a tortilla?
Describe what you're doing.
Okay, I have flour, baking powder, salt, and shortening.
The traditional way is to boil potatoes and rice them and add the shortening, which used to be lard. Now I use Crisco also. And then that has to cool. It's got to cool at least overnight so it's good and cold. And then you add flour and then you roll it out.
How did they come? Why potatoes? Why not flour? Why not corn, like a tortilla?
Well, actually, there's a lot of different lefse recipes. I think this one just happened because they had potatoes. They basically used what they had at hand.
And that was potatoes.
Yeah, and they grow. There's not a lot of arable land in Norway.
No. So you're going to put it on the griddle?
Yep, you put it on here, and it'll stay on here. It'll start bubbling.
Now you turn it?
Turn it.
All right. Was there ever a time in your family when they were coming up here to Wisconsin and that maybe you didn't want to eat tortillas because you didn't want people to think that you were different?
Oh, sure. When you went to school, you made sure you'd sit down and when nobody was looking, you'd take a bite and you'd hide it again, because everybody would make fun of what you had,
And now
what did you have,
Meredith, I'm going to ask you the same question. Was there a time when some of the Norwegian traditions, or you're just kind of thought about having to kind of let some of those things go or not bring them up too much? Was there ever a time in your family that...
No. Actually, I think maybe in public, but my parents spoke Norwegian and the traditions kept. And I was just thinking about our grade school. We knew what everybody was. The melting pot thing never worked. I think it wasn't as embarrassing maybe to be Norwegian. There weren't that many of us in Milwaukee. There was an enclave on the south side. But I know we had, like some of my grandmother's friends, one of the ladies came from Minnesota too, and she said, oh, I can't speak Norwegian at all. And she was very definitely trying not to be different from everybody else.
Your first tortilla, you make the sign of the cross?
When I make just before I start my dough, I get all my flour, everything ready, and then I make my dough. And as soon as I finish making my dough, I make the sign of the cross. And that was taught to me since I was a little girl. And I've told my children that they should always bless their food, before they eat it, whenever they start. And now my grandchildren will see me do that. And it's so cute because they're young. And they'll sit down and eat and they'll go. And their mother go, what are you doing? Grandma always does that. She says you have to do that to all your food so that it's blessed.
What do you think about when you see that?
I think it's great.
Oh, my godmother always cut off a little piece of the end of a ham. I suppose it was a canned ham, I don't know. But she always cut off this little end, and my mother said, what are you doing? They were cousins, and she said, why do you do that? She's wasting ham. And she said, no, Mama always did that. So my mother goes back to her mother, who was this lady's aunt, and she said, what's Artie talking about? She said, well, that's the only way the ham fit in Mom's pan. When she had a round pan and a long ham, you lopped off a piece.
So it wasn't like the sign of the cross here. It wasn't
any religious significance. It was just practicality.
Well, my grandparents, Leonardo and Ursula, and Jensina and Conrad. They thank you for bringing back some of the traditions and showing. And this would be my way of doing a TV show about cultural